Thank you, Ms. Scanlon. Mr. Roy, you're recognized.
I thank the chair, and I want to thank, as I did last week, the chairman and the ranking member, and appreciate getting here to the place where we are, where I think now, if we're able to get these done in the next week, and the Senate agrees, the overall spending is, I think, about $17 billion under the CR level spending, statistically flat, but under. I think that is a important signal to the markets, understanding of where we are in terms of our overall debt load as a country, that we're trying to constrain the discretionary side after we did some work last year on trying to restrain mandatory, particularly with respect to fraud and abuse that we're trying to address in Medicaid. I know there's been disagreements on that issue, but I'm just trying to look at the overall fiscal situation. And I think, while not perfect, and the ranking member left because in a rare moment of slight, modest agreement, I would note that I share, and I mentioned this before, my concern that this is barely a toe in the water to regular order. But I want to recognize that it is a trajectory towards regular order, and that is a good thing. And I appreciate all of our efforts in getting to this place. I hope we can continue to expand upon that, and to where, this form of regular order is still effectively a four corners deal with a $1.2 trillion spend on 4 appropriations bills, 3 in a minibus and 1 independent. But it did go through a lot of process. We've had a lot of significant independent votes through committee, working with the Senate. I hope next year we can get closer to the 12 pass, 12 back and forth. I would note, and there's a degree to which this is looking in the mirror on all of the issues in which we do this, and you seek the leverage points that you can to effectuate change. But I would note that my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, there was fairly loud rattling about wanting to jam DHS appropriations with respect to ICE. Well, that begs the question strategically about then how do you proceed? Are you going to end up at a CR, or are you going to end up trying to put together a minibus? So those of us who want individual bills for purposes of getting to better order and amendments, when we say we're going to, and again, looking in the mirror, when we say we're going to kill that particular appropriation bill, then it leaves the leadership on both sides of the aisle no choice but to figure out how to package together either an omnibus minibus or a version of a CR. So I would just note that that's another component to regular order. I do think when we have regular order, their pressure relief valves are such that you get votes on amendments, you have your voice, you get to speak, and then you get to be able to say, fine, I lost, and then go vote for the final product. When you don't, then you feel jammed, and you say, look, I'm not going to vote for this bill because it's got X, Y, Z in it that I don't particularly like. So that having all been said about regular order, I would note, and I wasn't going to go down this road, and I won't go down it too far because I've spoken about it on the floor. I understand, we're in here to talk about the overall appropriations bill, but DHS is one of those, or Homeland is one of those. And when we talk about ICE, and we talk about the men and women in ICE and what they're doing, whatever one wants to say about any particular events and allowing for a full review of any events that occur, the fact of the matter is ICE is on the street trying to protect the people of this country. And when we talk about the individuals that they have stopped in Minnesota, we're talking about a Laotian illegal alien convicted of sexual assault and sodomy of a girl under 13, who's been under a deportation order since 2006. A Laotian illegal alien convicted of the strong-arm rape of a 12-year-old girl and kidnapping a child with intent to sexually assault her with a deportation order since 2004. I keep going down the list. I'm not going to use the time for effect. I've got a list of 20 people right here who are very, very bad people who are no longer on the streets of Minnesota because ICE was engaged in carrying out their duty. So we can debate an act and go through due process and review and so forth about any particular act. I've got my views on some of those things, but go through all that. We do it in law and order all the time. We do it in police departments. We do it in states. We do it federally. We should. But to categorically dismiss, undermine, and put in danger the people of ICE when they're out here pulling by, I haven't heard anybody refute this, that these individuals are terrible human beings on the streets carrying out heinous and vicious acts and crimes, and that they should be removed from the streets. That there are, in fact, 1.5 million people in the United States currently under orders of removal. Went through process, the process that Congress created to allow for going through the judges, going through the thing. They now have 1.5 million people with orders of removal that ICE is supposed to go remove. I just think we should be mindful of that while we're going through the appropriations process and talking about funding the department to go do and carry out their jobs. I support them. I will take under advisement all these things as I look through the bills. There's still some provisions I'm not overly fond of. This is the process. We're negotiating, working through it. I do concur again, ever so carefully, with the ranking member about my stronger preference for more amendments, and that this is only a toe in the water of regular order, and that we should have greater regular order. I've already commented on it. The gentleman missed it when I was.
No, can you repeat it one more time, just for emphasis?
Well, I will. So what I said before, but I'm over the time, and I want to respect the chairwoman's admonition that we be expeditious, is I would note that we have to look in the mirror that when we are threatening killing a bill, because we don't like the bill, then one of the appropriations bills, then it necessarily results in a minibus, omnibus, or CR. So that was one of the issues at play here. That doesn't get to the heart of the amendment issue. Like, we have to be willing to vote and accept votes that are tough, and that might change the product one way or the other. And we're partisan, we're going to not want certain votes, and I get that, and both sides of the House will do that. But bottom line is, this is closer, and I appreciate the efforts of the chairman and the ranking member, and we'll try to work through this, and I yield back.